You know what? I might be in the minority, but I really, really, really do wish that the Xbox and Microsoft just. I really wish the Xbox never existed and Microsoft never got into the gaming industry. Or maybe, you know what? A better attempt would be like, you know what? The original Xbox, I enjoyed. I thought the original Xbox was kick ass. But I really wish that Microsoft would have gotten out of the gaming industry right after the original Xbox. Because I really just can't stand how the way the industry is going, the gaming industry. It's just everybody is focusing only on online gameplay, online multiplayer, and it's like people completely forgot about the storylines, the plots, the single player campaign. It's just, and on top of that, you've got like so much bullshit. It's just these motherfuckers just want to drain you dry. With Xbox Live and even PSN. I mean, it's one thing to have like a online community where you could like buy old school games and stuff like that. Because I do that on PSN, but it's just like forcing people to play online. And then you have all this DLC in games, which back in the day you used to be able to beat the game and unlock it. And it's just like a pain, man. I mean, even with WWE 14, which I love WWE 14, I've grown to love that game. You know, once playing the 30 years of WrestleMania, just unlocking all the characters like Goldberg, old school retro Brock Lesnar, old school Batista. Back when I used to actually like Batista before he became just a piece of shit. I only liked Batista up until like 2007. After when he started like shaving his head, I just lost interest in Batista. And when he had the feud with the Undertaker after WrestleMania 23, I remember that infamous promo, if you want to call it that, where he came out and just said, "I want my rematch, Undertaker." And he just didn't even say anything. He just said like, "I want my rematch," in like such a robotic, monotone manner. It wasn't even like I need the world heavyweight championship. Like he actually took the belt seriously or anything. He just came out and said, "I want the belt. I want the rematch." It was. I remember that seeing that on SmackDown and just being like, "Wow, Batista, fucking, he's just not as good as I thought he was." And he kept shaving his head and stuff too. I was like, "Dude, keep your hair." Like seriously, and he got all these tattoos and stuff, and I was just like, yeah, this guy sucks, man. He was good from like 2002 to 2006, 7, early 2007. Then he just fell off. I just stopped caring about Batista at that point. Of course, you can unlock just so many unlockables in WWE 14, which you don't even have to buy. But some of the stuff they force you to buy, like DLC, like the American Badass Undertaker, Scott Steiner, The Outsiders, stuff like that. I'm like, why the fuck do we have to buy all this? Like, all that shit is DLC. You can't even unlock it in the game. You can't even unlock it in 30 years of WrestleMania. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason I don't like the industry right now, because it's like Microsoft and the Xbox. It's just shit, man. It's just. I mean, I again, if Microsoft would have called it quits after the original Xbox, we would have got like they would have proved that we don't need memory cards anymore. That they should just put hard drives into the console, so we don't have to buy memory cards. And obviously Halo and a few other like. I mean, I love Halo. I used to love Halo back in the day, especially like Halo 1 and 2. Halo 2 kind of pissed me off at the end, but I used to love the Halo games back then. I got to admit. But it's just like Microsoft's brought more bad to the industry than good. I have to admit. Because, one, Microsoft's not even doing shit anymore. I mean, like, the newer Halo games are just. Like, Halo 4 was good, but, like, Reach and even Halo 3 and ODST, like, they were just like whatever. They were just whatever type games. You know, I like the Gears of War series, but again, it's like it's just like, it's like, again, it's Microsoft has not brought that much good to the industry. They brought a few good things, but they have not brought, you know, a lot of good to the industry that I think that they should have brought and could have bought. But then again, obviously it's Microsoft, so what do you expect? I actually really wish Microsoft would get into the wrestling industry and buy TNA. Just buy TNA and compete with WWE. Bill Gates versus Vince McMahon. Or even throw like Donald Trump. And even I hate Donald Trump because he's a racist piece of shit. But, having like a three-way, like Donald Trump gets a wrestling company, Bill Gates gets a wrestling company, Vince McMahon, then you have a three-way. Then the product would have to be good. Because three companies are trying to compete with each other. And three of them are multi-billionaires. Some, like, millionaires and billionaires, man. These guys are billionaires. So, like, and, there would have to be competition in the wrestling industry again. But I'm getting off topic. I'm not talking about wrestling in this video. I'm talking about Microsoft and the gaming industry. But, yeah, I really feel like I just... The 360 was just... It didn't compete with the PS3. I mean, I thought it was cool when it first came out that it was a cheaper console, because when Sony came out, it was $600, and I'm glad Microsoft was there to compete with Sony. And I do think that there should be a company competing with Sony, because Sony could do a WWE on us, and they could start getting lazy and start coming out with shit. They are already getting lazy. They think just because they outsold the Xbox One and the Wii U that they don't need to come out with any more games. I mean, Destiny is multi-platform. Where are the PS4's good exclusives here? Huh? Where are the PS4's, good exclusives? And it just brings me back to why I think, if Sony and Microsoft weren't in the industry at all, if it was just Sega and Nintendo, I think the industry would have been just fine. I honestly do. I think because I doubt Nintendo would even come out with a console like the Wii in the first place if they were competing against Sega. I mean, that's just my thoughts on that. I really think that, Nintendo would have taken a console war a little more seriously if they knew that they had a competitor, but not a competitor that would completely destroy them to the point where, we just got to focus on what makes money. So we got to focus on the casual gaming scene, which obviously is no longer working because the casual gaming scene has gone to like the tablets and the smartphones for, alternative gaming. And obviously the PC, the PC master race that these faggots out here like to keep talking about, these fucking nerds. But, honestly, I just wish it was just Sega and Nintendo. I mean, throw Sony in there. Like, Sony could help out with, like, hardware for, like, either Nintendo or Sega. Obviously adding, like... Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like with Sony. Sony doesn't make these consoles alone. They have companies like Toshiba and other companies that actually help them with certain parts of the hardware for the PS3 and stuff like that. It's not... I mean, they have IBM and stuff like that. It's not just Sony exclusively making the console. It's not just Ken Kutaragi making the console. And Ken Kutaragi quit, so he didn't even have anything to do with the PS4. And even like the PS3s, like the Slimline and stuff like that. He left Sony. He retired. So he has nothing even. I don't even know. I don't know if he's like a consultant or anything like that. But he had nothing to do with the PS4. So yeah, I mean, like if Sony and like these companies, if Microsoft wanted to help with Sega with the online, like they did with Windows CE, and they could actually like make it better, like stick to that. Microsoft and Sony should have just stuck to that. They shouldn't have actually made their own consoles. I think that Sega and Nintendo, especially back in the day, they had more respect for gaming as a whole, the gaming industry as a whole, and and I think that's how it should have stayed. I mean, yeah, you could add DVDs to the consoles, DVD playback to the Dreamcast and stuff like that. You could add like new like online multiplayer and stuff like that, but it's like to a point where people start overrating it and it just gets stupid. And both of these companies are getting late. I have yet to see a game on either the Xbox One or the PS4 that truly amazes me and makes me want to go out there and spend like $400, $500. I have yet to see a game that has done that to me. I refuse to buy either one of those consoles. But I honestly, I do think that Microsoft brought more bad to the gaming industry than good. I mean, aside from Halo, Xbox Live to a certain extent, it really not much good has come from the Xbox brand. I mean, not it's just I love the original Xbox too. That was actually I love the original Xbox. I ended up getting one in like 2003, 4, 4. It was 2004. That's right. Because I ended up getting it in 2004. I wanted to play Halo 2. And, you know, I got some really kick-ass games like Chronicles of Riddick, Ninja Gaiden, Doom 3, which was a huge favorite of mine. Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil, the expansion pack for it. Well, it wasn't. Well, it was an expansion pack. It wasn't really an expansion pack. It was just like it was kind of like Sonic 3 and Knuckles, where Sonic 3 was the game, and then you got Sonic Knuckles. It was like the extra to finish it off. That's what Doom 3 was. Doom 3 and Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil. And I didn't have a good PC to play the games. Yeah, I'm not part of the PC master race. So yeah, I needed the original Xbox to play Doom 3. Not like now, which I rebought it for the PS3, Doom 3 BFG edition, and I love that fucking game. I love it. I love Doom 3. And, you know, I'm looking forward to Doom 4. But, you know, it's just, again, Microsoft, they didn't bring that much to gaming. Like, aside from online, which would have eventually became the standard anyway. Because, I mean, you look at SegaNet, and honestly, and personally, I could care less about online gaming. I could care less. Even in first person, the only games I used to play online were like first person shooters. I never played any other genre online because I would always play like the arcade mode and fighting games. Every other game I had was like single player. You know, I never played wrestling games online. I never did any of that. Racing games, never played them online. So online was never a thing for me. I never cared. You know, to me personally, I thought the PC could keep it. I could care less. You know, but you know, it's just like to me, and even with like first person shooters, I prefer putting bots in the game. Honestly, like with Perfect Dark on the N64, I put bots in the game. You know, the Meat Slims, the Super Slims. You know, same thing with Time Splitters. I put bots in the game. I put bots in like Killzone 3. You know, it's just I could care less about online gaming. Like if I want a good multiplayer experience, I'll just play against bots or invite some friends over or something like that. Because honestly, I could care less. I could care less. Online gaming is a fucking novelty. It's not. It's not the be all end all of gaming. The way people overwrite like Call of Duty and stuff like that, saying like, "Oh my God, every game has to have online. Every game needs online, or else it's gonna suck." Vanquish for the PS3, and it's also on the 360, is an excellent third-person shooter. Excellent graphics. Proves that the Japanese actually know how to make some kick-ass shooting games, which I already knew because of Metal Gear Solid and Resident Evil. But you know, Vanquish is just a excellent third-person shooter. It is just a really addictive, no filler, no BS type shooter. You know, great action game, and it has no online whatsoever. None. And it just proves you don't need online to make a game good. You don't. I mean, seriously, people need to just stop overrate. People always say like, "Oh, people overrate graphics all the time." No, I think people overrate online more than anything. I barely see people. I mean, I know there's people out there who's gonna say like, "Oh, the graphics suck." I mean, yeah, but you have to realize we're in the sixth. We're in the 8th generation of gaming. All right, and previously we were in the 7th generation. Graphics should be good. All right, if a game has shitty graphics, what the fuck? Like, I mean, we have like powerful as fuck hardware, even in the last generation, PS3, 360. I mean, games graphically wise should be great. I mean, there should be no excuse to have shitty, terrible graphics in the game. Ever since the Dreamcast and the PS2, graphics have gotten much better, especially since the 128-bit era. You know, so to me, like, if a game has like terrible graphics, like, literally, what's the excuse? There's no excuse. Unless you're like an indie developer or something like that. If you make like indie games, then there's no excuse for you to have like shitty graphics unless you make indie games. So yeah, I mean, it's to me, I always see more people overhyping online. I always hear people overhype online. They were like, "Oh my god, if this game doesn't have online, I'm not getting it. If it has shitty online, I'm trading it in." I hear people talk about online gameplay like a motherfucker. I never even hear people talk about graphics like that. So that's a real pet peeve of mine. Because I think online is just overrated as fuck. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's just, I mean, and plus, Microsoft never would have gotten into the industry if it wasn't for Sony. The reason the original Xbox came out was because Microsoft started fearing, the PS2. There was back then. Yeah, we all know it's ridiculous today, especially looking at the PS2 Slim. But back then, they thought that the PS2 was going to be like this supercomputer. It had an expansion bay on the back of it. There were rumors that it was going to put PC graphics to shame, which will never happen. Like, seriously, Microsoft was that stupid. They actually thought that was going to happen. Like, there were so many rumors that PS2 was going to replace the PC. And it's like, no, none of this shit ever happened. A lot of that stuff Sony didn't even promise on. So it was like, yeah, it was completely pointless. Microsoft got worried for no reason. They released the console, and they're fucking stupid. Like, granted, it's just like Microsoft just should have stayed to PC. Don't make a fucking video game. I mean, granted, there are a lot of games I thought were awesome on the PC. Mostly shooters, not really a lot of games, because I hate RTS games and like all these MMOs and all this shit. But like there was a lot of kick-ass shooters like Half-Life, Doom, Quake, and stuff. I wanted to see like better ports of those games on console. But aside from that, that's it. I did not care about the PC community, the PC gaming community. I did not care about this master race, this so-called master race. I thought it was a bunch of bullshit. And yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Microsoft getting into the video game industry. Xbox, I mean, to me, I could live without it. You know, honestly, I could live even more without Sony getting involved. Because imagine if Sony like had no Microsoft, though, they would have no competition because Nintendo's not competing with Sony. You know, but then again, who knows? Because the N64 competed with the PS1. So if Microsoft never got into the gaming industry, Nintendo probably would have taken, their role a little more seriously and not release such casual shit like the Wii. And they probably would have tried to compete with Sony a little more. So who knows? If Xbox never got involved in the console race, it could have been like if Sega's not able to compete, Nintendo will try to compete with Sony. And yeah, I mean, obviously the GameCube did have better graphics than the PS2. I thought the PS2 was a better console, but the GameCube did have better graphics. And some games were even faster than the PS2s because it was like quick loading times for like the mini disc, and it was just so yeah. I mean, it could have been a better competitor if it wasn't for the original Xbox. But I'm not to say neither here nor there because it's just speculation. But I pretty much think that if Microsoft didn't get into the gaming industry, the console market, I think that it would have been just fine. And I even remember in 2006, people were talking about the Wii versus the PS3. Like, they completely didn't even put the Xbox 360 into that category. And I was kind of like, actually, the 360 is more of a competitor with the PS3. There was a lot of people comparing the Wii and the PS3. I even saw a commercial on G4, back when G4 Tech TV used to actually show video game shit. And they had like this commercial. It was like the PS3 versus the Wii. No Xbox 3. There was two chicks. One was the fat chick. She was a nerdy chick, and she was the PS3. She was. She tried to be like all dominant and sad. You know how like certain women could be. Where they try to assert themselves and stuff like that. And then you had the Wii, who was like this dumb blonde. She was like skinny, flat as hell. And it was like there was no chick for the 360. Those of you know what I'm talking about, you can YouTube it. It was that commercial with the two chicks. Yeah. So I mean, you can just look it up: PS3 versus Wii, chick commercial or chick ad. But yeah, that's my final thoughts on this. I really don't think Microsoft brought that much good to the gaming community. I think that, a lot of it was overhyped, with DLC, the overhype of online gaming, and just stupid shit. And Call of Duty got popular because of the stupid Xbox, right? Call of Duty never would have got this popular if online gaming was not the norm. If online gaming was not this overhyped load of shit, Call of Duty would never be as popular as it is today. So that's another reason. And again, I blame Xbox and Xbox Live for overhyping online gaming, which Sony never did. So thank you, Sony, for not overhyping online gaming like that and not taking it seriously. Thank you, because Microsoft sure as hell did, and it fucked up the gaming community. And that's just my thoughts on that.